back, everybody. I'm so pissed right now. I just spent 30 minutes drafting this deck, which is one of the coolest decks that I have ever gotten to draft. I was super excited. It was a great time. There was a ton of interesting strategy happening. And after restarting my computer because it needed to update, it apparently changed my microphone to default, which means nothing because it's not the Yeti microphone that I have. So my computer was just like, oh yeah, no, there's no audio for this video he's recording. That's fine. So y'all won't get to see that. I'll put it in like fast forward and probably dub over it, but that's a problem for editor Kano later. All right. Okay, so basically we drafted Storm. I'm gonna go over this deck very quickly. I'm still cutting some cards, but we started by drafting squirrels because we got some interesting squirrel cards right off the bat, and then we got past a bunch of other interesting cards that fit very clearly into the Storm deck. But let's see. I think I'm gonna cut a Jewel-Eyed Cobra and a Daggertooth, and we're gonna run minimal creatures here. I think maybe cutting Fey Offering and keep putting one of the other creatures back in might be the way to go, but I want one more mountain because that gives me 6 red sources. Yeah. All right. Well, here goes. Let's play Rare Tribal. Hang on. We have a mythic 6 rares in this deck. That doesn't generally happen when you open 3 packs. But yeah, let's do it. See you guys in round 1. All right. So round 1 we got an all right hand. We're going to need to draw some good cards, but I don't really want to mulligan this. Okay, opponent starts with a Slagwood's Bridge, so we will start by suspending Rift Sower, which is a lot like Search for Tomorrow. Opponent plays a Blazing Rootwalla, Rift Sower ticking down. We draw Fey Offering. So play a Forest. I think I need to Abundant Harvest for a land this turn. I can play the Squirrel Sovereign, but if I don't have a land, I can't cast Terramorph next turn. So, Abundant Harvest, let's say land. We rolled over Strike It Rich, and we got a Mountain. Pass the turn. Next turn, actually, if we play Fey Offering, we can get the full benefit of Fey Offering. Opponent pumps the Blazing Rootwalla. Rift Sower coming off Suspend. Then we draw Jewel-Eyed Cobra, play a Mountain, play Fey Offering, go to combat, hit our opponent for 1. Okay. We get a Food, Treasure, and Clue. I'm sensing a theme over the next couple of turns of what's going to be happening. Opponent pumps Blazing Rootwalla, hits us for 3. We untap and get a Verdant Command. So I could play Jewel-Eyed Cobra and Mind Collapse this Rootwalla, and that would trigger Fey Offering. I actually think that's what I'm going to do. So play Jewel-Eyed Cobra, go to combat, attack for 1. Opponent no blocks. Mind Collapse. Kill the Rootwalla. Get our Food, Clue, and Treasure. Pass the turn. Maybe I should have picked up a Glimmerbairn. Although that would be a completely reactionary pick at this point. I do want a land if I can get it. Opponent plays a Draykeeper, then passes. There's a land. So play a Forest. Yeah. Tap. Play Terramorph. Let's get a Mountain. Then red, green. Play a Squirrel. And this gives us a Treasure. So now I can Verdant Command, which will make tapped squirrels so I can't block with them. But I can make a huge board and gain life. Okay, what is happening with my camera? I have no idea. Oh my god, do you see this? This is like jump scare I wish I knew how to do this. I have no idea what's wrong. But I have to restart OBS. My camera has been having worse and worse problems. Okay, alright, hang on. I'm restarting OBS. Well, that was a trip. Opponent plays Necrogoyf. So if I cast Verdant Command now, I'm going to lose Gaia's Will. I'm not incredibly heartbroken about that. Opponent does not do anything. So let's go... Actually, yeah, let's... I could exile that Blazing Rootwalla and make the Necrogoyf a 0/4, but let's make some squirrels and gain some life. Okay, untap. So we have to discard Gaia's Will, which is unfortunate. Terramorph comes off Suspend. So cast it, get a Mountain. Then we draw Ravenous Squirrel. Okay, so play the Ravenous Squirrel, draw a card, counter on the Squirrel. We get a Strike It Rich, which I think No, I can't save, because if I save it, I'm just going to discard it. Let's see. I need to cast it, because I can't be discarding this. This does let me activate the Ravenous Squirrel's ability if I want to, but probably what I'm going to end up doing is just cracking a food this turn. So we're going to get a bunch more treasure tokens. Man, this Fey offering is just absolutely providing the most advantage possible. They get a whole bunch of stuff. Pass the turn. So opponent has to discard a card. Opponent draws. They discarded a Sojourner's Companion. They play a Forest. They play an Imperial Recruiter. Okay. They put Draykeeper in their hand. Alright, so they're going to go wide. But, like, even multiple activations of the Menace ability don't really do much to us. Sack a food, make the squirrel bigger, gain life. Untap, discard a card we don't have, draw a card. It's a forest. Crack a clue. Counter up the squirrel. Draw a mountain. That's not what we wanted. So play a forest. Sack another clue. Draw a card. Draw a swamp. That is also not what we wanted. How big can I make this squirrel? Actually quite large. Because I could sack my treasures and make it huge. So I guess we just start putting them in the abyss. It's like, even if they block with everything, we can make that squirrel enormous. Maybe I cast Strike It Rich here first? No, that actually decreases the number of things I can sack. So I think. Go to combat. Attack for 6. Opponent chumps with a squirrel. That's fine. Okay. Pass the turn. Opponent discards a card. They discard a mountain. So they are holding a Draykeeper still. Opponent plays a Draykeeper. And now has no cards in hand. So on their end step, sack a food. Make the squirrel bigger, gain life. We untap. We discard mountain. We draw Unholy Heat. So play a swamp. We do not have Delirium because we have land, sorcery, instant. That's it. So if I get a creature in the grave, which I can sack the Jewel-Eyed Cobra to Ravenous Squirrel to turn on Delirium and then kill Necrogoyf, or I can kill a Draykeeper. Let's kill the Necrogoyf. So activate Ravenous Squirrel, sack Jewel-Eyed Cobra. Get a counter, make a treasure, gain a life and draw. I mean, it feels like we're absolutely dominating at this moment. Tireless Provisioner is pretty excellent. So Unholy Heat, Necrogoyf to kill it. Then play Tireless Provisioner, go to combat. Attack for 8. Opponent chumps. Okay. Pass to our end step. Oh, make a food, a clue, and a treasure. Pass the turn. This is good. I mean, I could start sacking artifacts to draw if I didn't have cheaper draws in the clues. So opponent's going to give their squirrels 1-0 and Menace. What are you going to do, swing out? I will gain more life than that by existing. You need those blockers. But that's fine. Oh, it's a double activation. That's fine. Yeah, sure. We go to 15. Gain life, make the squirrel a 10-10. Untap. We draw Squirrel Sovereign. So, crack a clue, make it bigger, draw a card, Titania, and get back a mountain, and get a huge elemental. Or I can play the Squirrel Sovereign, which I think just makes our board big enough to swing for a lot. I can do both. There's no reason not to do both, really. So play Titania, get back a mountain, make a treasure, strike it rich, mountain, treasure, treasure, get a treasure. This just ensures that we have green, make the squirrel bigger, go to combat. Yeah, let's attack like this. They have to block the Ravenous Squirrel. That was like a great addition. They're getting rid of both Draykeepers. They must have an Echoing Return. All right, yeah, pass the turn. Food, a clue, a treasure. We haven't even played all the rares in our deck. This is so broken. Yeah, they must have an Echoing Return, either in their hand or in their deck, and they're hoping to draw it. Because otherwise, keeping a Draykeeper, I think, was the only real option, and just taking an extra 3 damage and going to 12. Unholy Heat a Squirrel Sovereign. Then they're going to discard a card and draw 2 cards. Sure. Lost a Squirrel I could have sacked it in response, but I want the blockers. They play a Vermin Gorger, and they play Cabal Initiate. They go to combat, and they're going to do nothing here. So, sack a clue on their end step. Draw a card. Forest. We untap. We draw Scalding Tarn. So, play Scalding Tarn. Make a food. Crack Scalding Tarn. I don't even think we have a... Get an elemental. I don't even think we have a Wait, hang on. Okay, yeah, okay, I see. Scalding Tarn. I'm not sure we have another mountain. Oh, we do. Mega food. I'm making food now because we are going to need to gain a bunch of life. Crack a clue. Draw forest. Let's go ahead and sack of food to gain life. Sack of food to gain life. And sack of food to gain life. Go to combat. Yeah, let's go ahead and attack like this. I'm going to keep back the Tireless Provisioner. I don't care if Titania dies. We don't have any other ways to put lands directly into the grave, because we can't... It's not like we can sack them or anything. Mind Collapse is already in the grave. We can't replay the lands from the grave, because we've already played Titania, and we were forced to discard Gaia's Will. This opponent chumps the 21/21 Ravenous Squirrel. They chump Titania, and they're going to kill this Squirrel token. So we can activate this Squirrel's ability. Black, green, green. Sack this creature. Gain a life and draw. Okay. Soul Talisman. Kill their blockers. Okay. A big attack there was kind of necessary because it prevents them from stalling out the game with Vermin Gorger. But Flay Essence, they kill Ravenous Squirrel and gain 21 life. Unbelievable. Well, we untap. We draw another Squirrel Sovereign. We are kind of on a time limit now, because that was our major clock. Suspend Soul Talisman. Play a Forest. Mega food. I could just hold on to this for Storm Count, and I think I'm going to. Go to combat. Attack for 10. Kind of expecting them to block Titania with Cabal Initiate. They may double block the Elemental as well. I don't think that's incredibly likely, but it is possible. So the plan is to draw Eve, the Progenitor Ooze, in the next 3 turns. Pass the turn. And that's how we're going to close this game out in a hurry. Man, Flay Essence on a card with like 18 1/1 counters on it. Not what I thought my opponent was capable of top decking, to be honest. We untap. Soul Talisman ticks down to 2. We draw Chitter Spitter. Alright, this game's over. Play a Forest. We're going to make a treasure. Play Squirrel Sovereign. Play Chitter Spitter. This deck is just stacked. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make a Squirrel. Go to combat. Attack for 8. Now we can just start sacking foods to Chitter Spitter. Opponent chumps with their Squirrel. They're going to sack it to drain us. That's fine. Okay, we get Fey Offering. We do get a clue. I kind of don't want to draw any more extra cards unless I know there's something I need to answer and I have an answer left in my deck. Like, I know I have an Unholy Heat left. I don't really want to draw cards unless I have to get Unholy Heat to get through whatever they play. But they are going to be dead very fast. Like, unreasonably fast because of Chitter Spitter. Game's over. Who'da thunk? Yeah, run it back. Alright, we have an Abundant Harvest, lands, and a Squirrel Sovereign. I'm going to keep, simply because we do have a decent curve. We do not have double green, but Squirrel Sovereign into Chitter Spitter seems great. Abundant Harvest, let's go non-land. Terramorph. Wow, we got a 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the 4 lets us activate our 3. That's pretty sick. Opponent plays a Cabal Initiate. We draw Unholy Heat. Also amazing. Play Squirrel Sovereign. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They fire to kill the Squirrel Sovereign. They suspend a Rift Sower, and they hit us for 2. We untap. We draw Titania, Protector of Argoth. Play Chitter Spitter. Pass the turn. Opponent, Rift Sower ticking down. They play a Legion Vanguard. They hit us for 2. We untap. We have no tokens to sack, unfortunately. We draw Forest. So, play Forest. Terramorph. Get a green mana. Pass the turn. I definitely do want to sack a token to Chitter Spitter, because I'm about to smell fear. That's a weird sentence. But I want to be able to proliferate the counters on Chitter Spitter. When it goes to combat, they attack us for 3. Interesting that they leave back Cabal Initiate. They're really thinking we would block. Okay, opponent plays a tap land on their end step. Make a token. Untap. So Terramorph comes off Suspend. We're going to cast Terramorph, and we're going to go get our Swamp. I'm going to activate Chitter Spitter. Then I'm going to sack the Squirrel. We then draw Forest. Play Mountain. Smell Fear. We're going to have the Squirrel fight the Initiate. Green-red. Opponent sacks it to Legion Vanguard, which we will respond by casting Unholy Heat. This forces them to sack Rift Sower in response if they want to keep that Legion Vanguard alive. Which, if they do and they hit a non-creature... They hit Slagwood's Bridge and they draw it, and then they lose the guy to Unholy Heat. So we ended up killing all of their creatures with one shock, basically. Go to combat. Attack for 3. Now, they did draw 2 lands. So they got 2 lands out of the way. They basically, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Opponent flays Essence to kill a squirrel token to buy time. We untap. We have no tokens with which to sack, so this is fine. And we draw Squirrel Sanctuary. Make a squirrel. Play Titania. Play Forest. Squirrel Sanctuary. Make another squirrel. Pass the turn. Well, we just put 11 power on the board. Opponent plays a land. They're still holding a tap land, I believe. They flay Essence Titania. That does not stop the squirrelness that's happening here. I'm actually going to make a squirrel and then immediately sack it because this does change the clock. Okay, we draw Mind Collapse, which is excellent. Unfortunately, Titania is not around. Otherwise, we could have made a 5/3 token. But even if my opponent gets a blocker, provided it dies to Mind Collapse, which most cards in the format will, we should be able to win. They have to have a blocker and a removal spell to stay alive. If they draw a Naturalize, that's probably their best bet because that reduces our raw power by a lot. They play a land, and I think they're still holding a tap land. They've got a Necrogoyf, and they are now passing. So Mind Collapse the Necrogoyf, and they're dead this turn unless they have an instant speed removal spell. And they do not. Wow! This deck is absurd! Alright, I'll see you guys in round 2. Alrighty. Welcome back to round 2, everybody. Hopefully I've figured out the camera glitches. This hand is kind of a mulligan to 6 already because of Gaia's Will, which is not going to do anything for quite a while. We only really have one playable card. I guess we have Verdant Command as well, but alright, we'll try keeping. We draw a Mountain, this hand gets better. We draw a Rift Sower, this hand gets better. Terramorph will be slow, but in theory will also do the same job. We just need to draw more mana. Opponent leads on a Fairgrounds Patrol. We draw a Jewel-Eyed Cobra. So pass the turn, leave up Verdant Command. Opponent plays a Mountain, plays an Arcbound Tracker. Opponent attacks for 2, no blocks. Let's go ahead and make some tokens and gain 3 life. Really surprised that, Smelt is not a mode on that. We untap and draw Tireless Provisioner. So, pass the turn. We do need to draw 1 more mana. 1 more mana and this hand becomes great. Opponent plays a second Arcbound Tracker. And Unholy Heats to kill the Ravenous Squirrel. No blocks. Take 3. We untap. We draw a Forest. So, play a Forest. Play Jewel-Eyed Cobra. Pass the turn. Opponent has a 4 mana play here. It's a Guardian Kirin. And they swing out. So we can double block to kill one of these. We can trade with the Fairgrounds Patrol as well. This gives us a treasure. Unfortunately, the Unholy Heat we have is not Delirium enabled yet. We untap and draw Brainstone. So play Tireless Provisioner. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an Arcbound Whelp. They're going to hit us for 10 here. I think we don't have a way to get all of the card types we need in the grave. I can get a sorcery into a grave pretty easily, and I can Brainstone as well. Let's see, do I have enough mana? Because the only way we can really get out of this is if I have, if I can draw my other Unholy Heat. I think that's it. No, even that doesn't do it, because even if I can kill this tracker, they can just modular onto the Whelp. Okay, well, we got out aggroed. We didn't draw lands like we hoped we would. So we need to have a hand that does more earlier. Question is, do we have anything that we want to bring in versus our opponent? We did not get our crack open during the draft phase, so we don't really have any naturalize effects in the sideboard, so we're just going to have to run it back and hope that we've got a hand that does something earlier and doesn't stumble on mana. I'd like to play first. Yep, okay. This hand has several plays up the curve. We have all of our mana. So, lead on Forest, pass the turn. Opponent plays a tap land. We draw Gaia's Will, play a Mountain, suspend Gargadon, pass the turn. Okay. Opponent untaps. They play another tap land. Gargadon starts ticking down. Draw a Mountain, play a Forest, Play Cobra. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Plains and plays a Chrome Courier. We untap. Gargadon ticks down to 2. We draw Verdant Command. So play a Mountain. Play Squirrel Sovereign. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They put Fairgrounds Patrol in their hand. They play an Arcbound Tracker and a Plains. Going to combat. They attack. They do not attack. Okay. So let's make some squirrels, gain some life. Untap. Gargadon ticks down to 1. We draw Titania. So we can either play Titania or we can play Suspend Gaia's Will. And I'm thinking I'm going to Suspend Gaia's Will and give myself one chance to draw like our fetch land or Mind Collapse. But go to combat. Swing out. We don't particularly care if they block with Chrome Courier. They take 4, we get a treasure. I could actually play both this turn. Play a Swamp. Suspend Gaia's Will. Play Titania. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent has a 5-mana play. Could be the Cascade Sphinx. It is Disciple of the Sun, picking up Chrome Courier. They pass. We untap. Gargadon and Gaia's Will ticking down. Cast Gargadon. Then we draw Scalding Tarn. Okay. So, play Scalding Tarn. Go to combat. Attack, attack, attack with everybody. Opponent is going to trade with Titania. They're going to block a squirrel and gain some life. So they're taking 14 damage and gaining 3 for a total of 11. Okay, they go to 5. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They're going to play Chrome Courier. They get a Thraben Watcher, I think. Yep, they get a Thraben Watcher. They probably are playing Fairgrounds Patrol. Yep. Okay, so they counter up the tracker. So on their end step, crack Scalding Tarn. Get an Elemental. Get a Mountain. Untap. Gaia's Will ticks down to 2. We draw Forest. So go to combat. If we swing out with everything, they could block, chump, block, block, and they would die. So I think we just swing out. They would have to have some 1-mana removal for Gargadon, or they have to double block it. Oh, I miscalculated the lifelink there. Either way, this still works way out in our favor. Plus, we'll have a turn coming up where we can get a whole bunch of value off of Gaia's Will, unless our opponent can exile our grave. But they'd have to have a Crypt Keeper this turn, I think. So they play a land, play Thraben Watcher, play another land. We untap. Gaia's Will ticks down to 1. We draw Forest, go to combat, swing out. Opponent blocks with the Thraben Watcher, blocks with the Tracker, but our guy has Trample. They have to have something else. Like a First Strike combat trick, maybe? Unbound Potential. Putting 1/1 counters on stuff. But that still kills them, because it has Trample. You needed to block with the lifelink guy. Alright, whatever. Well, we were going to have a huge turn off of Gaia's Will, so it was good there anyway. It's possible I should bring in Funnel Web Recluse, because they did have some pretty strong flyers between Thraben Watcher and the other card that I'm thinking of that isn't coming to mind. Thraben Watcher and the Furnace Whelp is the other one. And I think going without that is incorrect, so I would like to bring in 1 Funnel Web Recluse. The question is, what am I taking out for it? It could be Brainstone, but we have Unholy Heat, and I would like to actually be able to hit Delirium on some occasions. Maybe it's Jewel-Eyed Cobra, because it seems a little bit soft to some of their removal. That does make our earlier turns a little bit worse. Hopefully we don't have to rely on the treasure effectively. Okay, this hand seems good. We can lead on a Suspended Soul Talisman. Okay, we draw Funnel Web Recluse, play a Forest, suspend Soul Talisman, pass the turn. Opponent plays a second tap land, Soul Talisman begins taking down. We draw Chitter Spitter, so play a Forest and let's Abundant Harvest for a land. Okay, I could suspend Gaia's Will. It is a long way off, and we can probably get some value before then. I think we wait on it. Opponent plays a Plains, plays an Arcbound Prototype, Soul Talisman goes down to 1, we draw Squirrel Sanctuary. So play a Forest, and it's either Tireless Provisioner... I think we play Tireless Provisioner, because this gives us the best upside if we draw a land next turn. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent has an Unholy Heat. Opponent plays a tap land, hits us for 2. Soul Talisman comes off suspend. Then we draw Smell Fear. So I could play Chitter Spitter, Squirrel Sanctuary, and activate Chitter Spitter. That's probably our best play this turn, because that gives us the ability to investigate off of Funnel Web Recluse next turn. Okay, so pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play an Arcbound Whelp, which we will be able to fight down next turn. No blocks, we'll take 2. Activate Chitter Spitter, get a token. Untap, sack a squirrel, draw Squirrel Sovereign. I could play the Squirrel Sovereign this turn, then Smell Fear, and still be able to make another token. Then I can just play Funnel Web Recluse next turn. Yeah, I actually kind of like that. So play Squirrel Sovereign, Smell Fear. We can proliferate on Chitter Spitter, which is the other upside of that card. We can move the modular over, but we can also just make a token and block, because Chitter Spitter is probably the best single card engine in this format. Hit them for 4, take them to 16, and pass the turn. Opponent plays a land, goes to combat, attacks, no blocks. It can wait. Take 4, go to 12, and our opponent scoops. Chitter Spitter! OP! We didn't even get either of our other colors of mana, and we still savaged our opponent. Alright, I'll see you guys in round 3. Alright, we are on the play for round 3, and I believe we will be keeping this hand. It's a little bit risky, but we can strike it rich on turn 1. Which, if I draw a second land, or if I draw a third land, I'm kind of tempted to play Tireless Provisioner on 2. Opponent leads on a Forest, and suspends a Rift Sower. We untap, we draw a Forest. Alright, play Tireless Provisioner. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a Swamp. They play a Cabal Initiate. Then pass. We untap and draw a Mountain. Play a Forest. Make a Treasure Token. And we can either play the Cobra, or we can play 2 Squirrel Sovereigns. And I'm actually leaning towards playing the Cobra, because we can actually charge up treasures long term to potentially have an interesting like Storm finish of some kind. Okay, Rift Sower coming off suspend. Opponent plays another Cabal Initiate, goes to combat, and passes. We untap and draw a Mountain, play a Mountain, make a treasure. I kind of just want to hold on to these Squirrel Sovereigns because we're going to have enough mana that if we get the Ooze card shortly, we'll have a huge payoff. I think we're just going to pass. If we can get Chitter Spitter, if we can get Verdant Command, it's better to follow up with the Lord effects than it is to preemptively play them. Opponent plays a Swamp, so they tap Rift Sower, change their mind. Okay, they World-Weary Tireless Provisioner, which is pretty reasonable. Card provides a lot of persistent value. We untap and draw Gaia's Will. So, play a Mountain, Squirrel Sovereign, Squirrel Sovereign, and I'm going to wait until next turn to suspend Gaia's Will. Pass the turn. I only played these because we do need board presence. We can't just give up the board entirely. Okay, opponent passes. We untap. We draw Scalding Tarn. I do kind of want to deck thin, so I am going to play out the Scalding Tarn. We'll suspend Gaia's Will. I could just get aggressive and swing with everything here, because we're going to have enough mana to replay everything that is going to be in our grave by that point, and it is unlikely that our opponent has main deck Grave Hate. Unlikely, not impossible, so I could get completely blown out here. So opponent discards Bannerhide Crew Shock to put counters on the Rift Sower, which they block a Squirrel Sovereign. They can trade that Cabal Initiate because it loses the Lord bonus. Then they take 3 off of the Death Touch creature. Pass the turn. Stop on our opponent's upkeep. We're going to fetch a Mountain because we do not want to draw another land. It's a little bit bad if we draw Titania, but Titania would also reanimate Scalding Tarn, so I guess maybe not as much. Opponent plays a Scophos Reaver. They go to combat. They attack us for 5. No blocks, of course. Take 5, go to 14. We untap. Gaia's Will ticks down to 3. We draw Unholy Heat. We only have 3 card types, so it is just a shock. Pass the turn. If my opponent tries to scavenge Bannerhide Crew Shock onto Cabal Initiate to get a big life linker, we can Unholy Heat in response to kill it. They probably will not scavenge until we block with Jewel-Eyed Cobra. So if we Jewel-Eyed Cobra to kill something like Rift Sower if they attack, they may do that second main just to preserve mana so they have open mana next turn. We'll see. I think if my opponent attacks, we do trade the Jewel-Eyed Cobra with the Rift Sower, also because of Gaia's Will. So opponent Bone Shards, ditching Revolutionist. That is a pretty good line. So Revolutionist, they Madness. They have nothing to pick up, though. Bone Shards kills the Cobra, which unfortunately still does not leave us with Delirium. So we are going to shock the Cabal Initiate here just to prevent damage. But we need to draw something, because we will be dead next turn if we do not draw a blocker. So untap Gaia's Will, ticking down. We draw Chitter Spitter, which does make blockers. Pass the turn. This lets us survive at 1. Opponent untaps. If they have 1 extra point of damage, we die here. I do not think making foods off of the Tireless Provisioner was correct either. So opponent attacks. Make a token. Chump the Scophos Reaver. Go to 1. They play a tap land. Alright, we have to find some miracle way to survive this turn. Untap. Gaia's Will ticks down to 1. We will not be sacking a token. We draw Gargadon, which we can play, but between Gargadon and a single token does not allow us to survive. Unfortunate. Alright, my opponent has a lot of decently tough ground attackers, so I want to bring in another Jewel-Eyed Cobra. Question is, what am I taking out to make that work? I mean, I could also bring in the Funnel Web Recluse because it is a large, a creature with a huge amount of toughness. We weren't really hurting for mana. We are just a little bit light on creatures. I mean, I kind of want to drop Brainstone, but yeah, let's drop Brains. Nah. No, I don't think I can cut the cheap cards that much. It might be better than Rift Sower, though I'm not convinced. I think we just run it back. Alright, we'll play first. Okay, we have the Progenitor Ooze, so I will keep. We are going to try and get up to 6 mana in a single turn with Terramorph, so we can Terramorph Brainstone, cast Eve. So, play Forest, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, they lead on a Swamp. We untap, we draw another Forest, play a Mountain, pass the turn. If we draw Rift Sower, we can suspend Rift Sower so it will come off the same turn that Terramorph rebounds. Opponent plays a Rakdos Headliner, so we can negate the damage by gaining life with Verdant Command. So make some tapped squirrels, gain 3 life, then take 3 damage. Okay. Untap. We draw another Forest, play a Forest, pass the turn. We're probably going to have to do some chump blocking. Opponent discards a card, which will probably be a Madness card. It is a Kitchen Imp. That is not a bad payoff here for them. So opponent goes to combat, they attack for 3, total of 5. So we chump the Headliner. Okay, so we draw Squirrel Sovereign. So I can play a Forest, I can Terramorph, and I can go to 5 mana this turn. Then I untap, Terramorph rebounds, I'll go up to 6, I'll play a land and have 7, and then I can Squirrel Sovereign Ooze, or I can Brainstone Ooze. I could Brainstone and Squirrel Sovereign this turn, because I could shuffle away whatever I Brainstone, but I think we just want to put power onto the board. So let's go ahead and do the Terramorph plan. So Terramorph, get a Mountain, pass the turn. I will not be chump blocking this turn because I have Squirrel Sovereign, so I'm going to take the full 5. Opponent goes to combat, attacks for 5. No blocks. Take 5, go to 13. Then they play Scophos Reaver. We untap. Terramorph rebounds. Cast Terramorph with Rebound. I'm not going to get the Swamp. I'm going to get another Forest because our other cheap cards are green. Soul Talisman. So play a Forest. I have 7 mana. So I can Brainstone, suspend Soul Talisman, Eve. Or I can Squirrel Sovereign Eve. Let's Squirrel Sovereign Eve just to put the most power possible onto the board. Alright, so we get a 2-2, a 3-3, and then a 4-4. Pass the turn. No attacks. Opponent plays a land. We've pretty well stonewalled for the moment. Opponent attacks for 2 in the air. So we take it. Go to 11. Then does nothing. We draw a mountain. So play Brainstone. Do the big think. We gotta put back 2 cards. So let's put back... we do want to play a land of this turn. Let's put back Mountain Soul Talisman. Then we suspend Gaia's Will. And I think we actually hold on to both of these. So we could start getting aggressive if we wanted to. We could attack with Eve or the 3-3 Eve and the 4-4 Eve because we just suspended Gaia's Will. Next turn we can Fey Offering, Jewel-Eyed Cobra. I think we're going to have to race. And we'll have to use our treasures and food and clues and stuff like that to try and offset our opponent attacking us. We'll have to do some trading. I could play Jewel-Eyed Cobra this turn, second main, but I really want the tokens off of Fey Offering. The fact opponent is trading is huge. I should not have suspended Gaia's Will first, that's for sure. So opponent trades and blocks, so they must have a combat trick. Tragic Fall, they're going to give it -3/-3. Okay. So they keep the Scophos Reaver. Pass the turn. So next turn we can suspend Soul Talisman, so that will come off suspend at the same time that the rest of our spells do. Opponent basic land cycles Battle Plan to get a mountain. They untap. They play a mountain. So they could cast World Weary. I'm trying to think of other cards they have that we know they could play. They go to combat, attack for 2 in the air. We take it and go to 9. Then they play a Loathsome Curator. They do not exploit. We untap. Gaia's Will ticks down. We draw Soul Talisman. Play Fey Offering. Play Jewel-Eyed Cobra. Suspend Soul Talisman. Pass the turn. So if we can survive 3 turns, we're going to have a huge payoff. And we're drawing a mountain. We know our mountain is our top deck right now. We cannot crack our food or our clue yet. So if they can do 9 damage to us this turn, that would be an issue. Opponent World Wearies the Jewel-Eyed Cobra. So we get a treasure. That does let us crack the food to stay alive if we need to. If we don't, then we will likely just double block here. So let's block and block to kill that. We know our top deck is basically nothing, so I don't think we can take the damage here. So I think what we're going to do is spend our turn cracking a clue and then the food. Okay, so we untap, suspends, counting down. We can make it just a couple of turns, we'll be fine. But we got to get there. So mountain off the top, crack the clue, get Gargadon, which we can play, but we will not be able to crack the food if we do, and if our opponent has a removal spell, they're taking us to 1. I think we got to cast it. We need to have something on the board. Pass the turn. And this is actually big enough to absorb that Scophos Reaver, and if they have another World Weary, it can't be World Wearied. The problem is if our opponent has a Terminal Agony or something like that. We also do not have the ability to double spell to get another boon off of Fey Offering, so there's a really good chance we've lost. Opponent plays Cabal Initiate. Opponent goes to combat, attacks for 2 in the air. Well, we can't block that. So take 2 and go to 5. We untap, cards ticking down to 1. We just have to make it to next turn. And if we do, we probably win this game. Titania, it's another blocker, so, I mean, like, we're gonna have to play it. So let's gain life, go up to 8, and play Titania. Unfortunately, we do not have any lands in the grave. Opponent is going to Madness, Revolutionist. Revolutionist can pick up Tragic Fall, and they can get Hellbent for Tragic Fall. Does that kill us? 1 removal spell? I don't think 1 removal spell will, but I think 2 would. Oh, we just have to survive until next turn, and if we do, we're gonna have a huge turn if we do. Oh, Tragic Fall can actually, without getting Hellbent, kill Titania. So we're taking 7, 8 if our opponent can get to Threshold, and they can. So we're actually dead. If our opponent does this right, we're dead. Oh my gosh, but opponent, think of how cool my next turn is gonna be. You gotta see that, right? Titania, you 3 toughness having Queen of the Fairies. Elemental. If my opponent dumps the last 2 cards in their hand, they can get to Threshold. I don't know if my opponent sees that. They see it! Oh, we're 1 life away. Just 1. Their last card was Orchard Strider. Go. We're not even saved by the Moto misclick. We just die exactly. And to think that Jewel Eye Cobra could have been a Funnel Web Recluse, because that was the swap I was thinking about making. My opponent would have had the removal spell for it all the same, but that was a really disappointing end to a league. Hang on, can I get back to that last game? Will it show me? Okay, so taking a look at our grave, we would have had whatever our top deck was, which it's not going to show us, so whatever. Then we would have had Soul Talisman, which would have gotten us up to 11 mana total. Then Gaia's Will goes off. That's Storm Count of 2. So we have 11 mana. We need 5 of it for Eve. So we can play Brainstone. Go down to... We have 11 mana. We can go down to 10. Play Brainstone. Then we can Terramorph, which takes 3. Taking us to 7 mana left. Then we can Verdant Command, gain life, make tokens. Then we can play Eve for a total of like 5 Storm Count. We would gain 3 life off of Verdant Command, which would have put us at 4, which would have allowed us to survive a swing from Kitchen Imp. Then we would have gotten a food token. Then we have a Brainstone in play, meaning that we can actually cycle through a lot more of our deck, hopefully to find something else to win. But we would have had a 5 Storm Count Eve, and we would have been in a much better place. And then we could have Brainstoned in response to the Terramorph rebound to reshuffle so that we don't have to draw what we Brainstone. That turn would have been freaking sick. It just didn't happen. Because our opponent... They saw the line. It's just so tragic. Anyway, if you enjoyed this content, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few times have been earlier than that. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, I'll see you guys in the next one. You're all wonderful human beings. Bye! Hey, just wanted to give a shout out to my patrons for the month of July. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate your support, and if you want to have your guys' names show up in this list, there's a link to my Patreon in the description down below. Thank you all so much.